And the videos you can skip, right?
Yes. So I can't speak too much to the ones that I didn't attend. I did hear some anecdotal evidence about some of those, but basically what I thought I'd do is scroll through here and point out the ones that I thought were really worth watching so that you can take note of those and watch them as soon as Confreaks gets them up. Sorry that I'm just scrolling through a website, but I kind of jumped in to do this talk yesterday and didn't really have time to put a lot together here. But
I tried to talk to them, make the slides.
yeah, you know, make the slides, make the slides. First off, I was very happy with the first talk I went to by Jason Clark, Extending Gems, Patterns and Anti-Patterns of Making Your Gem Pluggable. And I would highly recommend you watch that. As far as if you ever create gems, or even if you're trying to use gems, he was showing off how he works at New Relic, and they've had a hard time interacting with a lot of gems because of the way that they were crafted. And so you can see, if you're ever interested in making a gem, how you can make it so that it's more friendly for other people who might want to extend and use it further. I also went to Under the Influence, which is one that you should not watch. And in fact, they should probably not even put it on Confreaks. So I'm not even going to talk about it really. I can talk about it at the bar later if you want, but it was highly disappointing. And then I went to Recommendation Engines with Redis and Ruby. I would say if that's something you're really interested in, go ahead and watch it. It was a very light-ish overview, didn't dive too deep. It was more about this is how I kind of did one once. And so it was an okay talk, good presenter, but I wouldn't say you're going to get a whole lot out of it unless you're really trying to build a recommendation engine with Redis, and even more specifically one that's just like the one we've done. So,
Can you bump the font one second?
yes. What?
Bump the font.
Oh, bump up the font? Yes, sorry. There we go. There, that's looking better. Sorry about that. I then went to Thinking About Machine Learning with Ruby, which was very overview-ish. He kept it a very attainable level. So if you're interested in starting to learn about machine learning, then this is not a bad talk to go to. It definitely didn't deep dive into anything, but that also made it so you could actually understand what he was talking about, and it gave you some ideas on what you might want to do with machine learning, why it might be important. And so I thought it was well worth the time to listen to what he had to say about that. One of the best talks I went to, Emily Stolfo, API Design for Gem Authors and Users. And the reason why this is a good talk is, even if you're not a gem developer, this is a good talk because ultimately any code that you write, even in an application, is probably going to have some other consumer, maybe a partner you're working with, maybe you work at a contracting company where you're developing software that you're going to hand off to someone else someday. You're almost always developing software for another consumer. Worst case is you're the consumer down the road. And what she does is she works on the Mongo driver team at MongoDB, and she gave some excellent points on how to develop an API properly and how to develop software properly so that it's easy to use for everyone, both internally and externally. I went through harnessing the true power of regular expressions in Ruby. It was, again, it was kind of a little bit of an overview, but if you haven't learned much about regular expressions and you would like to, highly recommend it. If you already know regular expressions, you're not going to get a whole lot out of that video, so don't watch it if you already know them.
While he's scrolling on, if you are new to regular expressions and you kind of want to learn more about them, you will not find a better teacher than Nell with that information.
Yes, she obviously knows much more than she covered in the talk, that's for sure. The future of JRuby, I went to that one, and I really think that we should all be looking at JRuby a lot more, especially as they go into the new version that they're working on. This is all about the direction they're going, what they're doing with it. If you want to find out more about JRuby and why you might want to be using it, I highly recommend that. A lightweight SOA framework with Ruby, Apache Thrift, and AMQP. This was a very good talk, especially for really showing off how you might really want to consider, especially on a larger application, breaking your application up into different services and how they can talk to each other and using messaging between them and really making a resilient system that you can bring up. All of his examples were basically Ruby, but there's a lot of other people out there who are doing it. You know, it started with other languages, but Ruby is very useful for doing it, and it's highly recommended when you're building something out that you think might be a lot larger. I also went to test-driven neural networks with Ruby. I was kind of on a machine learning kick. That was a good talk, especially if you want to get more into machine learning than that overview talk I mentioned. So definitely check that out if you are into finding out a little bit more about how you can make machine learning. I already got a couple ideas out of that talk of some projects I'd like to play around with. Preferring object orientation to metaprogramming is a definite must-see talk. You should watch this talk, it's awesome. He talks about how rather than using metaprogramming, you can solve a lot of programming problems with straight object orientation, and your code's going to be cleaner and more robust and a lot easier to understand. Jim Gay gave an excellent talk on unleashing the secrets of the standard library. He talked specifically about simple delegator, affordable, and a couple other pieces where if you haven't really explored the Ruby standard library, he kind of gave some specific examples of exploring it and encouraged you to look at other ones as well. But his specific exploration really also talked a lot about how to build proper software and how you can use some of Ruby's built-in tools to build better software. So I highly recommend that as well. The lightning talks, there was a lot of excellent ones. I'm not going to go into all of those, but surprisingly, there were people packing amazing things into 5 minutes. And I'm going to go a little bit quicker. Ernie Miller gave the keynote on the last day, That's Not Very Ruby of You, which was an awesome talk as well. Definitely worth watching about Ruby style and what it means to write Ruby or not Ruby. And Kinsey and Durham gave a talk that I thought was a very good talk. It may not be, if you're interested in learning more about Ruby, this is not necessarily the best talk, but it definitely is a great talk for learning how to make more Rubyists out there and her experience. And I've got 9 seconds left, let's hear. Eliminating branching, nil, and attributes, definitely worth watching. It was very cool. It gets really weird. He's not lying. And Charles Wood, great guy. Don't recommend that talk. And Bad Ruby Code Doesn't Exist was fun, if nothing else, because of the discussions that happened between the guests. And one of the guests that isn't listed on here was Aaron Patterson. So he was part of the panel, and it was really cool. So sorry I'm out of time, but I can talk more about it later this evening if you'd like, and go into a little bit more details.
Great, thank you.